If you live long enough, you're gonna have to catch a mouse. For the past little while, I've been noticing signs of a mouse.
Hey Siri, add mousetrap to the grocery list.
So, until that's ticked off the list, I do what I do. I go to bed without putting the dishes away. But I'd better close the dishwasher before I go to bed. I don't want mice crawling all over the clean dishes. 8 hours later. So when I come down in the morning, I find this little guy sitting on top of my clean cups.
So I scooped him up in a cup and I put him in this casserole dish.
I guess he was in the dishwasher before I closed it, enjoying the scraps of food in the bottom. Gerald here isn't the first mouse plaguing foreigners' homes here in Manchester. In case you didn't know it, the Romans came here around 79 AD. These mice bones were found in the sediment at the bottom of an amphora found on an archaeological dig in the city center. It seems the Romans were quite fond of these little creatures. They put them on mosaic floors and made little bronze figurines of mice. This Roman oil lamp found in Manchester has a little mouse on top. He's taken a sip of the olive oil from inside. That's about it for mice in the history of Manchester, but this fascinating story popped up about their less adorable cousins, the story of rat baiting and the Manchester Terrier. People have been pitting animals against each other for a long time. Bear baiting, bull baiting, cockfighting, dog fighting, just to name a few, not to mention feeding Christians to the lions. The 1835 Cruelty to Animals Act saw an end to most of these sports, but one animal was exempt: the rat. Now I suppose we can understand some of the reasoning behind this. They spread disease and they can do an incredible amount of property damage. This was before modern pesticides, and the way we controlled rodent populations was with other animals. I guess a cat in the barn can take care of most of your problems, but have you ever tried to train a cat? You can't very well patrol the streets of Manchester with your cat on a lead to catch rats, now can you? The animal for this job is a dog, and the very best dogs are terriers. They're small, so they can go anywhere that a rat can. They're fast, and they are relentless. We can't get upset with the dogs, though. That's what they do. It's in their nature. Rat baiting didn't start out as a blood sport, though. It was more of a necessity. We needed an animal that could control the rat population. And of course, people started breeding dogs for just that purpose. Soon enough, someone started to brag about how many rats their little terrier had caught. And the next thing, there's a friendly wager. That's probably how it started. It became a popular sport in cities like Manchester, where there wasn't the room for a big arena for a bull or a bear. Later, with the abolition of all the other animal blood sports, it turned into the highly organized sport of rat baiting. I won't go into all the gory details, but the events were staged in places like the cellar of a pub, where they had a little arena built, a miniature coliseum, if you will, with an enclosure a few feet high and tiered seating for the spectators that would go all the way up to the ceiling. You can just imagine the atmosphere: a bunch of poorly washed men in a poorly lit, cramped cellar filled with the stench of rats, tobacco smoke, and stale beer. The dogs would be weighed and usually pitted against 1 rat per pound of dog, then timed to see which dog could dispatch its allotment of rats in the shortest time. Just like football today, the owners could walk away with some hefty prize money. One of the little dogs bred for this purpose was the Manchester Terrier. John Hume of Crumpsall crossed a dark brown winning terrier with a whippet to create a proficient rat-catching and rabbit-hunting dog, excelling in both sports. They often had their ears cropped to prevent damage from rats. It became illegal in the 1890s. By the end of World War II, only 11 Manchester Terriers were registered. It's still a vulnerable native breed. The American president, Teddy Roosevelt, owned one while he was in the White House, and Agatha Christie owned 2. Bingo was the inspiration for the dog in her last book, and her first Manchester Terrier was called Treacle.
Treacle. Before I moved here, I didn't even know what this stuff was. I bought it for a video to do about bonfire night, and its best before date is 2 years ago. I think it's time to make a video about treacle.